Dan's a fantastic man. He really is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
What's going on? This is Dan French. This is another French Workbench podcast here today. It's Tuesday, so you guys know what time it is. We got a packed house today. A lot of people in here. I think the most I've ever had in here. Crazy.
Cow.
Yeah, we got a great show. A lot of information today. So I'm going to go through the process here and introduce everybody. And so we got a familiar person. He's back. He went MIA for a while. He's Mr. Cactus Life himself. Mr. Zach Martinez. What's going on, buddy?
What's going
How are
on,
you?
everybody? I'm doing great. How are you? I'm doing just fine.
We also have a new guest, and he is a credit repair, and his name is Tony Gutierrez, right?
Yep.
Tony, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
How much? I'm good. How are you?
Thanks for coming in, man, on a short notice, too. I wanted somebody to come in and wanted to talk about credit, and Tony was the guy, man. He came in, and he's like, dude, I'm going to knock this one out of the park. So he came in on short notice. Appreciate
Thanks
that, Tony.
for the invite.
We also have Mr. Mike Keeler. He's back, man. He's here, financial planner.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on, Mr. Mike Keeler?
Hey, life is good.
Yeah, what's happening, buddy? How are you?
It's getting a little toasty out there, a little humid. Gosh, would it just rain though? Come on.
Right? That's what we're waiting for, right? It's waiting for rain. We're waiting for something to happen.
I
here,
washed
I
my
think.
car yesterday, so it would rain today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Didn't happen.
That's normally how it works. You wash your car and then it rains.
Yeah.
Everybody start washing your car, please.
Yes. Let's get that drought over.
Absolutely.
I wash my
And
car,
last but not least, we have Esmeralda Lucia. She's from WFG Title. She's back, and she's been here quite a few times. Esmeralda, you're starting to become a regular, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm
How do you-
a regular now.
You're a
So,
regular now. So
yeah.
what's happening? What's going on in your world?
Hey, I want to piggyback off you. I wash my car too, and it rains.
Awesome.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah, and I hadn't washed my car in like a week, so I was like so happy, and then it just started raining. So.
Let's talk today about what's going to happen on today's show. So we got a lot of things to talk about. We got the moratorium. We're going to talk about how that's going to impact Las Vegas. We're also going to talk about credit and how you can get credit repair and how that can help you down the road, especially in today's world. There's a lot of people that need credit help. We're going to talk to Mike a little bit about saving for college tuition, and we're going to just look at real estate as in general. We're going to look at this as a whole. So we got a packed house today. And I want to start off by talking about the moratorium, because the moratorium just was extended. You got Biden and the everybody looking at this saying, hey, you know what? Is this going to get extended or not, or should it get extended? I don't know why they extended it, but they did to July 31st. So the administration, Biden's administration, overruled everybody and said, hey, we're going to extend this till July 31st. And it's interesting to see what it's going to do to impact the housing market here and also inventory, because we know that's a big deal. Back it was in March of 2020. We looked at what was going on in the world, and it was coronavirus. We had the pandemic really taken over, and so we had the CARES Act put in place. But yet they keep extending this, and it's good. I think it's good for a lot of reasons, but we're going to talk about what are some of the challenges people are going to go through and really where these numbers are at. It looks like 2 million people right now are in forbearance. You also have 1.2 million people in serious delinquency right now. And there's going to be a lot of aftermath of what is going to be the outcome. Is there's really going to be where we see a bunch of foreclosures. It's not going to be the market we seen back in 2008, mid 2000s. But just last month, we had a little over 10,000 foreclosures in April. And that's up from last year. Now, you can't really compare 2020 to 21, because obviously when you look at the foreclosure, situation, there was nobody going through foreclosure back in 2020. So those numbers are going to be higher. They're obviously going to be higher. But what are your guys' thoughts? So let's talk with you first, Zach. I know you looked at this moratorium. You talked to people all day. You're a real estate agent with Simply Vegas. What are you hearing out there about this moratorium? It was just extended.
Yeah, man. Like you just said, extended to the 31st of next month. And I mean, I have clients where they're like, hey, we need to sell our house because we have tenants in this house and they're not paying rent. Otherwise we're going to.
I don't know anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to a few people. I mean, there's also, I got a couple other clients that are like, look, we want to sell our house, but we want to,
Right.
we want to redo the inside, but we can't because we have tenants in the house. So, I mean, there's situations like that, but, obviously you got to remember, it's not like you're just, paying rent and then the money is just disappearing out of thin air. It's like these are people that own the houses, like they're, like you just said, forbearance, they're going into forbearance, and it's crazy. I mean, although you don't hear about it all the time, it's definitely like a big thing that's happening nowadays. So,
all right, Tony, what are you hearing out there, man? You hear the same things? You got your ear to the ground on things as far as changes? Are people going through struggles right now?
Well, with credit, I see a lot of people having a lot of money. They all have a whole bunch of extra money. When the government put out those what's it called? When they gave out money
The
to
stimulus checks.
the stimulus
the
check.
stimmy.
The stimmy checks,
A
yeah.
lot of people had a lot of money, but they decided to keep that money.
Right.
So it's kind of hurting the homeowner, but it's, I guess, kind of helping the tenant. That extension of the moratorium, I don't think it should have happened, but
Right.
that's just my point of view.
Got you. I mean, that's good. I mean, Esmeralda's got a point on it, too, where you look at the situation. You're saying, I think you told me the other day, that they're actually going to help these buyers, or not the buyers, but the owners, excuse me, that are in serious status, right, where maybe some of the banks or the servicers are going to come in, and also the government. Actually, the government's going to come in and pay that off, right? Is that what's going to happen?
There is in the works. It's not out. I don't know the exact date, but I know it's about, what did I say? Let me, hold on, you guys. I'll give you the exact. So we have it where they are extending a couple things. One is for anybody that, if you're dealing with like HOAs or late fees and things like that, I want to say a couple years ago, there was no actual, it wasn't regulated on what they could charge late fees or the amount of fees they can charge. So now they actually implemented time frames and things like that with HOA. Also, another thing that they also extended is for the landlords.
The landlords?
Yes, where
They extended the landlords.
Right. What they extended was what they can do to actually get paid back for the time frames of their tenants not paying back.
Oh, so they can get reimbursed for
Yes.
the times they're not getting the rents.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah,
And
Got
we'll
you.
touch
that makes
base
a lot
on
of
that.
sense.
Gotcha. Well, so you have a lot of information as far as like the government's going to come in and step in and maybe pay some of this stuff off. Is that? I mean, you just heard this as a rumor. Is that right? Is that something
I heard
that's
this last
out
week.
there? or-
Well, it's actually implemented as of June 22nd.
Yeah.
So that was last week, and the amount is 120 million.
120 million.
Right. And this is to help you if you're either a homeowner,
Uh-huh.
if you need a principal reduction, if you need help with utilities,
Okay.
if you need help with insurance or property taxes or foreclosure. So these are some of the areas that they're willing to help. So
Gotcha. So let's look at the whole situation with the moratorium. We all know that it's been extended. What do you think what is the outcome going to be, right? Is Vegas going to start to get more properties on the market because of this? Everybody thinks, because Vegas is a different story altogether. I think it's a market that it does have a lot of, it's transient. What do you think, Mike? You think that it's going to open up a lot of properties here in Vegas with this foreclosures? It seemed like it's a small amount for 10,000 just in this last month.
It doesn't seem like that many. Obviously extending these moratoriums is going to not do anything for inventory and those people looking to buy a house. So it's going to be wait and see. We'll have to see what's going on. I think, there are a lot of people out there in need, and hopefully this is going to help them out, though.
Right.
Keep them in their house instead of forcing them into a shelter or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the whole picture, though, of like this moratorium and getting extended. I don't know if it's really going to help somebody an extra 30 days. We talked about that. Usually if somebody's in a position where they're going to be evicted or they've already not been paying their mortgage, 30 days isn't going to change the thing with their position. I would say it's more of a preparation thing,
I
gives
think
me time.
I think it really depends. If they're working, then they can be saving up money for, that first and last month's rent on an apartment or something like that. If they're not working, then it's not going to make, it's just going to be another 30 days of living in that house.
Yeah, it's not going to make a huge difference. So what do you think, Zach?
I was actually just thinking about it. What are your guys' opinions on reasons for people still being in the same situation, not paying rent? I mean, obviously, when everything was closed and nobody was working, that's one thing. But I mean, obviously, Vegas is like open, I mean, obviously there's still people that aren't working, but what are your guys' opinions on what's happening with that? Like, do you think there's people just
free money is the root of all evil?
Right. You're saying free money, right?
Yeah, free money,
Yeah.
not making the right decisions, or
For me, I think it's like this. If you should go back to work. We all know if you can't go back to work, then don't go back to work. Maybe there's an issue or something. But I think what it tells me is that if people have homes and they have equity in their property, they're probably going to figure out a way to get this done where they don't lose that house if it has a mortgage.
If they've got equity, they don't want to lose it.
Right, exactly. And I think that's a big part of it. Also, too, I would say the eviction part of it might be a little bit higher of a number because it's easy for people typically. I mean, if you got a family, but it's probably easier for them to say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna walk away from somebody where you're renting, instead of walking away from a mortgage. But you look at the big picture. I mean, it's true. So you look at, even if you contested it, and we talked about this, you contest it, if it might take 90 or 120 days if you don't contest it just to get you out of the house, if it's an eviction, right, or mortgage, right? If your proceedings going through a mortgage, it might take you up to 120 days. It might even be longer if you contest it, and I'm not saying you would win, but that could be another delay. So I can't see that this market's just going to go crazy and there's going to be a bunch of properties come on the market when we look at all these things in place and all these steps and programs and the government's trying to help out. I think everybody's looking at that going, I have an out, right? What do you think, Mike?
I think of about 10 years ago, the person who lived behind me, so this was probably 2009. He'd been living in that house for 2 years rent-free, or mortgage-free.
Yeah.
He had not paid his mortgage in all that time. And he lived there for 2-3 years without paying a single payment. And now I know he was working, and so he was able to save up a good chunk of money. So when he was finally kicked out, I'm sure he was able to find a place.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at what's happening, and we'll talk to you, Tony. So you're in credit services, your credit repair. Do you see a lot of people that are challenged right now that can't pay their bills?
So there are a lot of people that are challenged, but not regarding paying their bills. I mean, it's either, it is not being able to pay their bills.
Right.
Either they're too big, but there are people that are taking all that extra money and putting it towards whatever bills they have. I did have a client that they saved up a whole bunch of money, the stimulus checks and a whole bunch of money to pay. They were behind on their mortgage and they were getting evicted. They managed to save the house. So I do believe there are people that are still trying to do the right thing, or at least try to keep the house that they have.
I would say that's true, but I also think a lot of people are not paying anything, and they're just sitting on a nest egg, and they're waiting, and they're going to pounce at the first deal that they can get. What do you guys think? Zach, do you see people out there just saving money, man, waiting for that deal to happen?
You know what? I don't know. Like, it's a tough call because it's part of me would like to think, there's people out there just, doing the right thing. And trust me, I mean, obviously I've been through parts of my life where obviously I've seen like family go through hardships and, I understand it happens, and I would like to think that that's, kind of what's going on, and hopefully they're able to figure things out. But at the same time, I do think that there's a really big amount of people just, okay, moratorium is extended to the 31st. We got some more time to kind of stack our bread. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's,
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's Vegas, man.
Vegas, baby.
Vegas is looking for opportunity, right?
They are stacking that money and putting it on red.
Yeah. I think it really depends on the individual situation.
Yeah.
If they have equity in a house, they're going to work as hard as they can to keep it. If they're renting, they may not be so worried about that. They can always find another place.
Well, I think too, I mean, it's not saying everybody's doing that. You got to look at it. And I'm not saying it's free money, but if you're not paying your bills, right, and you just have money and you're sitting on it, now you have options, maybe options that you didn't have before. Yeah. And, are people going to have the ability? Again, I don't think it's going to be a number, though, that people think, well, mid-2000s is coming back. It's not going to be like that at all. It's just there's going to be more properties in the market. I do think it's going to open up a lot of inventory in the market for people that are buying. Zach, we're seeing that right now, right? We're seeing inventory starting to increase, correct?
Yeah. I've seen inventory kind of start to pick back up a little bit, which is great. Obviously being in the industry, it's breath of fresh air for everybody. You know, for buyers, you're not getting beat out by a million offers. As an agent, it's, you know, obviously if you have a buyer that's, you know, not as strong, you don't have a cash buyer, you know, you're going to have a bit of a harder time getting your offers accepted. But seeing that, you know, starting to kind of decline, or I'm sorry, not decline, but you know what I mean, ease up a little bit.
Sure.
You know, it's a good feeling, and it's still a strong market, still very competitive. I just don't think it's as competitive as it has been in the, you know, past few months.
Take me through the mindset. Okay, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what you're going through, because I know what people are going through right now, and it's a struggle. And look, people, when they're putting offers in, it's actually stressful. It's not just getting the house. It's actually a stressful part of it, because they have to wait. There's challenges where you're putting in an offer. You don't get some contact back from the selling agent. So you're starting to see that a lot, right? Where people just, I hate to say it, but if you're a listing agent, we've been talking about this, a lot of listing agents don't get back to you.
I'm just as guilty, man. I mean,
really?
I mean, okay, not intentionally.
Okay.
Let me like defend myself, back myself up. Okay.
Wait a second.
Because my listing,
I was going to put a whole segment together just for people like you. So go ahead.
Just like me. What are you talking about? People like me.
Those kind of people.
Oh man, look, I'm a good guy.
Do we really want that?
I'm a good guy, but listen. So I just kind of, to put myself or put everybody in, you know, the other perspective. It's like, you know, yeah, it's frustrating putting an offer in and then not hearing back, right? Because, you know, you have a buyer that really likes this house, or
it's
a new listing.
Man.
It is, right? Well, here's the thing. It is disrespectful, but I mean, like I said, I had my listing come we just sold it, right? It just closed last Thursday.
Yeah.
And it was on the market for 3 days, and we had a ton of showing requests, ton of I think in the first 2 days we had like 6 offers.
Sure.
Insane. I mean, a couple offers just sight unseen. And you know, I was just getting bombarded with all these showing requests. I was getting bombarded with, you know, all these buyers agents hitting me up, and it's like, you know, you feel bad. And I did get back with everybody. I didn't just blow people off, but it's, you can kind of understand just the, you know, the condition of the market right now. There's
I think it's the challenges. So you go into buying a home, and you got to think of it. Everybody thinks of it as a real estate agent or a lender, and it's like, well, I just got to get this deal done. Okay, let's take ourselves through the eyes of a client or somebody that's trying to buy a home. It's shortage of inventory. You're probably, you know, moving, which you don't, nobody likes to move. And then you don't get any responses. And then it starts, the frustration starts to mount up, right? It starts to build, and you're like, man, I can't get any offer. You might be on your 6th or 7th or 8th offer, and there's no movement. And so you're starting to think like, is this a market that I want to buy in, or am I just discouraged? I'm just jumping out.
Yeah, and that's a conversation that you got to have, you know, with yourself, with your family, and obviously with your agent, because it's, you know, it's definitely a unique situation, and you know what, that's just the condition of the market. You know, there's nothing that, I mean, there's people that need to buy, right? Or people that need to move to Vegas, whether it's for a job transfer, whether it's for family, whatever the case is, and you have to move. You know, the rental market is not any easier. And it is tough. Trust me. Like my listing, he wanted to rent, he wanted to wait, and I'm like, all right, but it is tough. Like there's probably, the inventory is even tighter, probably for rentals. So I mean, you really just got to have that discussion, you know, with your clients, or the client has to have the discussion with their family. Like, hey, look, this is what we're getting into.
Sure.
And as an agent, I have to do my job and prepare my clients and say, look, this is what's going on. Educate them on the market, and you know, really prepare them and, you know, set the expectations, because if you're like, okay, it's a great market, it's a wonderful market, they're gonna get discouraged real easily.
Yeah.
But you know, you set that expectation and you let them know that, hey, we got to be vigilant. We might have to submit 3, 4, 5 different offers, but you know, you need a house, and let's do it. I'm the right agent. Let's, you know, it's just kind of how it is nowadays. You know,
I think the industry needs self-leadership more than ever. You look at both sides of it, because it's tough. Everybody's going through a process. How many buyers do we have that come out of state, right? It's everybody's,
like,
you know,
half of them.
Yeah, they're traveling here. They're moving their cars. I got a couple people that are moving from Hawaii, bringing their car. I mean, there's just a lot of things that goes on, and it's a stressful process, and there's so many things that go through with it. What are you seeing out there, Tony? What do you see out there as far as people and the inventory? Are we seeing, you know, you talk to a lot of realtors, don't you?
I do. I have a lot of realtors sending business over only because their buyers have 1 or 2 things that need to get fixed to be able to get approved. So I do see a lot of people trying to buy. Right now, it's actually most of the clients are really that's their goal. That's their ultimate goal, to be able to purchase a home, to find a home.
Yeah.
It does become hard for some of them. I do have a client that I'm in the middle. I mean, I was talking to a real estate agent, and she submitted an offer for him. He got denied. They've gone to 2 or 3 different offers already. They're still getting denied, and they're getting to the point where they gotta move. They gotta get out of their house. So they're getting to that point where the person who owns the house is getting ready to tell them, hey, you have to leave because I'm selling the house.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in a hurry into buying a new house, but market is tougher. I mean, for that specific client, it's been a little hard for them to be able to find the house.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a slow, gradual process where you're going to see property start to come on the market, but it's not going to be, well, everybody's back to work and we're just going to jump and everybody's going to see a bunch of properties and it's like, all right, we're back to normal. It doesn't happen that way. It's kind of through cycles. There's a lot of data out there that supports that, but I think it's going to slowly open up. And I think a lot of people, the foreclosure process, this moratorium, I think it's going to be more about where do people go if they are evicted, right? Where do they go if they had to leave their house with a mortgage? You know, some people may just have to do that. They just didn't pay their bills. A lot of them may need to be pay months that they didn't pay. So what do you think, Mike? You think this market's showing signs, right, that it's increasing?
Yeah, I mean things are moving. So it's we'll see what happens. I really don't know.
Esmeralda, what you got over there?
I don't think the market is. In my opinion, I don't think if this goes through the 120 million, I think that's going to hurt our market because I don't think there's going to be a movement of properties like we want it to be.
Right.
So, yeah, it's not going to help us. It's going to help the actual homeowner, but it's not going to make. It's not going to give opportunity to the people that are trying to buy a home, a new home buyer, or because there's not a reason for them to leave. There's not an incentive if they're going to help you financially.
Yeah.
Why would you leave your house?
Yeah, well, that makes sense. It's going to help the existing homeowners and renters. It's not going to help people trying to get in, that's for sure.
That means there's not going to be that opportunity of new homes in the market that I think that we thought were going to be. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, there'll be some, but I don't think it's going to be to the extent where it's going to be like we're going to see a huge shift.
So you think things will be delayed a month for this moratorium?
I think it'll probably about 45 days. Usually it takes a while before it actually starts.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, man, I got a lot of realtors that think that this is just going to be the mid-2000s, and I don't see it happening. I really do. I got people who are calling me like, man, I can't wait till this thing opens up because then my clients and everybody's going to be out there. I'm like, look, man, we even see the numbers. It's just not there. And this is totally different than what it was before. So I can't see how this market's going to be any different than it was. I mean, how it's going to be completely different, than it was in the mid-2000s. Because this is such a...
Well, let me say this. Mid-2000s, we didn't have an issue with having supplies and people that don't want to actually work. The problem is that we're delayed in homes. And the reason we have a shortage is not necessarily because everybody wants to buy a house. It's because when the market opened back up for people to go back to work, not everybody wanted to work because they didn't need to. If you're getting a check, you stay home, then you don't have to go, cut trees and start building more wood and all these things. So that delayed the amount of employees that were actually physically doing those jobs. So that's why we don't have the same material and the fast pace that we needed at that time. And everything increased. So it's different from 2002. That was not the issue. The issue now is that people were getting checks, the stimulus checks, so you don't need to go to work. So there's not enough bodies to sustain the demand in homes, and that's why we have the influx. But we still have the same problem because now we're going to give them money to pay utility bills and all these other things. So if we're not building enough homes and to make up for the people that are not leaving those homes, then we're going to have a shortage. And this is why we have this problem.
Yeah,
so it's completely different from 2002. Like, that's not...
You went through this market too, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I did. I had homes. I lost homes.
You lost homes, huh?
So it's different.
Let's talk a little bit about what's happening with the total number of homes. Do you know how many homes are out there right now, Zach, on the market?
Man, it's been fluctuating. I mean, right now it seems like, are we talking available? Like just not under man. Let's just say it's low. So I was about to, make a point, on...
I'm looking right now, and I'm looking at the MLS here, and this is 2,800 homes right here. and we'll just go ahead and jump to this. This is 2,800 homes that we're seeing right here on the market.
Right. Single
And
family.
that's single family. Now, I'm going to say with condos and everything included, maybe we're a little bit over 3, right?
Yeah, I
Maybe?
would say a little over 3, like just under 4. And you know what? It's so kind of piggybacking off what you were just saying, like, you know, what's going to happen with the market? Like, are we going to see this influx of inventory? And it's, realistically, a balanced market is 6 months of inventory, right? Okay. So 6 months, less than 6 months, you're in a seller's market. More than 6 months, you're in a buyer's market.
Right.
So if you're around that, middle point, then you're kind of in a pretty healthy market. For the past, year since all this has been going on, we've been in, like around a month of inventory. I don't know exactly what it is right now, but I'm sure we're just around the same point. So even if we do get all these new listings, we're probably not going to, I don't want to say we're not going to, but it probably won't be, drastic and happen immediately.
Right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, just opinion here. I don't think we're going to see, what happened in 08, 09. And who knows? If only we had the crystal ball, we can look into the future and see what happens. But who knows?
I didn't bring it in.
You didn't bring it in?
Oh man,
You have one too, don't you?
Yeah, my magic 8-ball.
Yeah, that's right.
I brought that in a couple weeks
go wash your car while you go get it. Okay.
So what's up, Tony? Were you in this market back in the mid 2000s?
I was not. No. Well, right
You
now
were not in that market, huh?
I was not. I was still. Mid 2000s. Yeah, I was still not. I did not have the set of mind to buy a house or anything like that.
Okay.
Right now, I do believe that there's a lot of money going around. So, people aren't going to. Back then, there was a lot of houses, there was a lot of inventory because there was a lot of people losing their homes. Now, there's a lot of money, so like she said, it's kind of
It's tough,
hard for
yeah.
them to actually lose the house since the government's giving them help, since they're getting help from everywhere, government programs, and they're just getting money everywhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of government programs going on, huh?
And then there's people that, like you're saying, people that stashed a whole bunch of money and aren't paying their bills. Well, now they have a whole bunch of money but can't do anything with it. Their credit's not good anymore because they didn't pay their bills. They
Yeah,
can't
but
buy a house.
some people have actually not had it where it affected their credit because it hasn't hit yet. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, if I was paying my mortgage, they're not hitting as it's a late, so your credit really didn't drop yet. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
Okay, that does make sense. But anything else, credit cards, collection companies are going on credit real fast.
Yeah.
And most of the collection companies this is the time where collection companies have sued people for the smallest amounts. And they were actually suing faster than they were suing before this whole pandemic started.
Mm-hmm.
So I've actually seen the most lawsuits now from companies that you never thought that they would actually sue.
Do you think people care though? I'm not trying to, but do you think they really care about that? Like, if I owe $2,000 to a creditor and my credit score is subpar or it's whatever, I'm probably not even going to worry about it because I'm going to be like, you know what? I'd rather have my money. Now I get it, credit's important, so I'm not saying credit's not important, but right? I'm probably just going to say, you know what? You're going to sue me over this? It's already in collections. Why am I going to go that route?
So people do care because you start getting garnished. So if you were getting a check, you're not getting the full check.
Really?
That's not
So
fun.
we've seen a whole bunch of garnishments. They're real hard to stop, and the only way you're able to stop a garnishment is either settle out, which not many companies are willing to do so, or pay off the full amount. So if you had a whole bunch of money and you were getting income, you're better off paying the full judgment rather than waiting it out, because as you wait it out, they start taking money from your check, but now you're paying interest on that money. So say you make $2,000 a month, they take 25% of that. From that, they're taking $500. Only $400 are going towards the balance, and then $100 are going to interest, are going to fees, court fees. So I understand some people might not care. They're gonna start caring as soon as they get served.
Well, let's talk about credit. All right, so I'm out there and I'm looking to get out of, let's say I'm renting a property or I'm renting an apartment, and now I have blemishes on my credit. Okay, what do you do to help these people? Because I'm going to tell you, I have a lot of people that says, I'm just going to pay off all my collection accounts. Those collection accounts, it doesn't make a difference in my opinion, because even if you paid them off, that score doesn't go like this. It just stays right where it's at, right?
So sometimes it will, sometimes it don't. It depends on the deal that you make with a collection company. Some collection companies, you're able to make a deal where you're able to get rid of the whole collection, where it won't show up on your credit. That will boost your credit up. And most of the time, people don't understand what revolving credit is. Revolving credit's the only thing that will make your credit go
What
up
is
or go
revolving
down.
credit? Explain what that
Revolving
is.
credit, it's an account that shows up or makes changes every single month. Like a credit card, usually installment loans won't reflect, won't show up as revolving credit. Most of the time, credit cards, only because you pay them off every month. Every month they have a different balance.
Right. So people, I think a lot of people think, well, they go to a creditor and it's just like, hey, I'm going to pay you some money and everything's going to get fixed. I'm going to tell you, I haven't had good experiences with credit people that do repair. They take the money, they check out. You don't even know where they're at. They're in Mexico, right? They took off and they got the money. My thing is, as this has happened, you know it is. Everybody's laughing.
I want to say
People
It's
come to
happening.
me. Definitely, I've had people come to me. What makes you different than any other credit repair place? I've had credit companies. I've been with them for 2-3 years, and they're not. I haven't seen any change in my credit.
Right.
So it really just depends on how you attack things. There's ways that you're able to fight, challenge things to have them removed from the credit report. There's companies like ours that will only challenge and challenge and challenge the thing so many times.
Right.
You could only challenge the thing so many times before you're able to actually go and be like, okay, I've tried fighting you. You're not coming up. What do you want? Let's find a solution. You want money? Let's meet halfway. Let's get you paid. Let's get you removed.
Right. Let's talk about okay, so when I look at a credit report, it says the moratorium's on there is like a disaster relief, right? Or something that comes on. And the thing is, it's not affecting their credit. So we're talking about the moratorium, but then it kind of leads into credit. And it kind of leads into your situation. If somebody's in a place like that they need help, let's say they weren't paying all their bills, does it really? I'm under the impression you can only get stuff deleted. That's when it really makes a difference. Because even if you got collections, if you got multiple collections, or if you have more trade lines or credit lines that are in bad or negative status than you do good status, then you're kind of stuck. You don't really. I mean, now it's just about either deleting those accounts or it's time. So you don't. Do you really pitch to these people like, hey, let's just pay these collections account. Let's kind of, because a lot of these companies. Everybody knows. I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
They delay the account. They delay as much as they can because they're getting a monthly payment every single month. Is that what you guys do?
That's not what I do. So there are accounts that do say affected by natural disasters. That's the exact note that shows up on the credit report. Accounts that we're able to delete, we're pretty much straight up with the client. We'll tell them this, and this. We're able to delete. Some accounts. Late payments. I mean, as soon as they go late on something, there's nothing they could do other than wait. Wait 12 months, 18 months. You will not get it. You will not see a credit report go over 620 within the next 12 months after somebody goes late on it. So, but there are other things that you're able to move, add, or remove from the credit report to help that score increase. Most of the time, removing accounts is the best thing, but the only thing you are actually able to remove are collection companies. Everything else, that credit cards, loans, either they're way too old, or sometimes we are able to remove credit cards, whether they're not able to comply to all the requirements that we ask for.
Yeah. Do you guys have any questions for him about anything?
So right now, what you're doing in credit repair, what is something that you're doing right now the most? Is it repairing credit for because people have credit card debt? Is it foreclosures? Is it what is it?
It's collections and credit cards. So that's the most thing. That's the biggest thing we are fighting and helping people get rid of credit card debt, because credit card debt is not going to go away on its own. Most of the time, if people don't pay their credit cards, they're either going into collections or credit card companies are suing people.
And how soon will you see results? Like, is it one day? Is it 6 months? Like, when you have somebody that comes in and you meet with them, and what are the expectations? Hey, within 6 months, you're going to see your credit increase? I mean, or is it 1 month, 3 days?
80 to 90% of all of our clients are able to see results within the first 60 to 90 days.
The only reason I'm saying this is because I've had bad experiences.
You've had bad experiences as well?
Yeah, because I've had presentations and classes with credit repairs and companies, and then they disappear, and then I'm like, I don't know what happened to them. I can't get out.
Well, let me tell you something. We're not going anywhere. We've been in the same for the past 4 years.
Not saying that you would, but I've had it where
You've been on the podcast. You're not going anywhere.
I did presentations for I'll say 6 months, and then we have this rapport and it's great, and then the company's gone. And so I have clients calling me, and their clients are calling their. and it becomes a mess. So I was just wondering.
Gotcha. Well, people usually start seeing results within the first 60 to 90 days. That's really when you start seeing the results once we submitted our first and the second round of challenges.
Is it, and then what is your fees like? Is it like a one-time fee? You get this package deal for $399, or is it like monthly?
Esmeralda, are you gonna sign up?
No, I actually have. I did my credit. I have an 800 psycho score, but I'm just curious because I get this question all the time about credit repairs. I just never refer anybody because I've had bad experiences.
Gotcha. So we do offer a free consultation to everybody, and then our prices were really inexpensive when it comes to fixing credit. We are month to month, which means we're not tying people down on contracts. We are at $159 to start, $89 a month, and like I said, we work month to month.
Right.
So by the second, third, fourth month, if they don't see any change, they don't see any different, they're always able to come to you and be like, hey, I haven't seen anything, and then we're able to sit down with the person and actually go step by step. We do register them with all 3 major credit bureaus at the beginning of the program. That way, 3-4 months down the road, they see, you know what, I haven't seen any change. We sit down with them. You had this here, you don't have it now. So we're actually able to show them their changes, rather than most of credit repair companies. They're all either over the phone, they're all either on the phone or on the internet. So we do have an office here local in town. We've been at the same place for the past 2 years, and then before that, we were across the street from our current office. So it's not like we moved from one side of town to another side of town where people aren't able to find us.
Right.
So, Tony, how long does it take going through your process before mortgage lenders actually going to be willing to talk to these people?
So it really depends on what's on people's credit. Sometimes I have people that only need revolving credit, only need credit history, which they're able to go back down to the lender in about 60 days. Either you need to pay and remove one account. So I could have some people go back to see the lender up to in 60 days.
Sure.
Some people do take up to maybe 6, 8, 12 months. It really just depends on what's on everybody's credit. Everybody has a different credit, which it's kind of hard to tell how long you'll be with us just out of the blue. But once we sit down with a person, we're able to give them a more realistic timeline of where we need to be, or what how long it'll be before they're able to go back to the loan officer.
Okay, cool.
Zachary, you got anything to say to him, man? You look like you're just soaking it all up.
I'm a sponge right now. That's all I'm doing. So I guess
Cactus sponge?
Oh no, everybody's in on the cactus life now. Man, you guys, there's a whole story behind that. I can talk for an hour behind.
Dude,
anyway,
We don't need to hear that.
I know. For another show. Anyway, so what would be your number one tip? Let's say you've got somebody kind of on the fence, reaching out to somebody to go and help them fix their credit. What would be the one piece of advice that you give them that they could do that would probably...
Well, yeah. I want to say this. What point do they go to you? Because I think some people have a few things wrong. I think that's kind of what you're trying to say. At what point do they actually reach out to you and say, hey, Tony, I need you to look at my credit, man. We need some miracles.
Well, listen, I've had people come to me when they have very little things, when they have a lot of things. Most of these people don't have the time, or don't want to put the effort, don't want to give a company 2, 3, 4, 5 different calls. They just don't want to waste their time while somebody else could do it. It's just a service that I provide. So people are able to come to me, or people come to me with either they want to, they have one account that they need to remove, or whether their credit's way too messed up where they don't know what to do. They're able to come to me, or people come to me at any given time. I mean, I've had a client today, they said, hey, I have one collection, I need help with it, I don't want to deal with it, I honestly don't want to go through the process of it.
What's the difference between that collection and the other collections you deal with? Why is that so significant, or why you didn't want to deal with it?
So no, why didn't the client want to deal with it? They just don't want to waste time. One collection, it really doesn't make a difference, whether it's a $25 collection or it's a $2,500 collection.
Right.
It really doesn't make a difference. It's just the amount of time that you have to waste calling the creditor, setting up the deal, making sure you get a deletion letter, making sure it gets off the credit report.
Yeah, the deletion letters actually work in today's world, because I'm going to tell you, I feel that these collection companies, they don't just give out these deletion letters anymore. You used to write the letter, and everybody used to go through the process. Now they're like, we have to go by the CFPB. Like, if it's accurate, it's accurate. So how do you get around that?
Well, sometimes they're not able to comply to all the information, or we get a deletion letter by making a settlement. So they won't delete because the debt's accurate. So we settle out the debt. Once we settle out the debt gets paid, and then I get a deletion letter.
But you have to get that money to them first, because they're not going to just say, hey, we're going to give you a deletion letter. Go ahead and pay us, and we'll get you that deletion letter in a couple of weeks, right?
Correct.
It's like, hey, I got leverage. You got leverage. Let's make this deal happen, right? You're actually you're closing on a deal over there, aren't you?
That's exactly what we're doing. Yeah.
What about child support? I'm just
You
curious.
gotta close it.
What if somebody has child support and you're trying to get rid of it? Like, does that affect your credit?
Say that again. Say that again.
Child support.
If you're trying to get rid of child support,
Yeah, like you had child support, right? And does that hit your credit? I don't know. I'm just asking.
I don't know. I don't know if you can get rid of it. You can't delete child
You
support.
said get rid of the kid. Okay, you can't get rid of your child.
You said delete child support.
So
No. Like, if it does that affect your? I'm just asking. I don't know. Does that Does that show up on your credit if you had child support?
Yeah.
it does show up on your credit.
Okay,
It
so
does
how do you
affect
get
your
rid of that? What if you don't have the money?
Pay child support. The child support student loans are two things that you can't get rid of. Like taxes, you can't get rid of taxes.
So what if you pay it? Like,
So if you pay it, you don't have the debt anymore because you paid it.
but does it still hurt your credit, or does that get removed and then
So
increase?
say the kid's already past 18 and the parent has a debt of 25 grand. You pay those 25 grand and then it's no longer hurting you. Kid's 8 years old and then you have child support $200
But if the kid's
a month.
25, that doesn't matter no more. They already went through the
Well, they still
25
have
years.
The debt won't
Yeah.
go away.
Yeah.
So
Oh, wow.
the only way to get rid of child support is actually paying child support.
You can't
It's
negotiate.
just
You can't
catching it
negotiate
up,
it.
right? It's not. You can't. No, I don't mean.
Oh, you know, Dan, right?
I know. I mean, I got 4 past child. No.
So I was trying to negotiate.
No,
I'll
but
give you a
I
van.
got
like-
people that tell me all the time about getting a loan, and it's like one of those things. It's like, man, you got to just catch up. That's it. There's no like you got to catch up, and a lot of times it goes and it escalates to a point where you have a collection status, and a lot of times banks won't give you a loan based upon that because you're just so far gone. And then also similar to like child support payments and alimony. I mean, it all kind of comes in together and it all shows up. So I think to kind of answer the question, I can't see why anybody would say, hey, we're gonna just push this one under the rug on the child support. That's a big deal.
I was just curious. I mean, I don't
Child
know.
support, they can garnish wages. I mean, that's a
Absolutely.
huge thing. And, Cece just said, yeah, it shows up until it's paid in full.
That's
so,
right.
Oh, okay.
And CC's got 100% correct.
If only you
Yeah.
could just delete it, right?
Well, you should have thought about that when you had the kid. But-
Well, child support does help your credit. As long
It
as
does?
you're making your payments
Oh, if you're
on
making
time,
your payments,
it will
yeah.
show up.
Yeah,
like
but does
a
it,
trade
Oh,
line.
so it
does
shows
it
like a
show up
loan?
on your credit as a trade line? I thought it had to be where you had to get it to a point where you're in a negative status before it actually shows up on your credit.
That is correct. So you do have to go on a negative status. Sometimes it'll go on your credit without you being in a negative status. And as long as you pay it on time every single month, it shows up as a trade line. So when you're buying a house, you need two or three trade lines. How many do you need? With 2-year history.
As far as for what? I'm sorry.
When you're purchasing a home, you need 2 trade lines, I believe, right?
Minimum of 2. Yeah, I think
So-
you really want to have 3 though. I mean, that's what most investors, because it depends on the investor. But yeah, you do want to have 3 active trade lines. Correct.
Correct. So child support will help you in that process as long as you're paying it on time.
If it shows up on the credit though.
Correct.
Right. If it doesn't show up on the credit, then how do you know what's been reported? Right.
That is correct.
Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of a case by case, but I mean, for the most part, for me, I've only seen it when it's in a negative derogatory or status where it's collections, and people are like, I'm still making my payments, and I'm like, all right, you call me in a few months when you're caught up. Let me know. We'll get a loan. But yeah, banks don't want to give out loans for people that can't pay child support. I hate to say that.
I mean, I wouldn't. Would
It's
you?
unfortunate.
I mean, if
man.
you're not even willing to pay for your child, then you're not going to get paid on anything.
Yeah.
Correct.
I mean,
So
that's just.
going back to the credit situation, so a lot of people have this misconception that you go to somebody like you and everything just gets fixed. Let's go and talk about not just collections, but let's just talk about why somebody would need your services. Like, for instance, couldn't I do this stuff on my own? Like, couldn't I just call these creditors and say, you know what, I'm going to pay this myself and I'm going to give you the deletion? They're like, why are you different?
Well, I'm just a service. You
Right.
could do your oil change on your own, but you go to somebody to do it for you only because they've done it so many times.
Right.
They know every single way to do it, so it becomes easier for them.
Sure. I think it's more familiarity. Like, you know the process. There's a lot of people that don't have the time to do the process. So is that what you're kind of saying?
That is correct. So I have a process. My process has worked. I mean, my process works, period.
Right.
I've seen it. If you're able to go from point A to point B, my process does work. I mean, people that actually complete the whole process, they've actually seen results with it. I mean,
Yeah. So you look at a credit report, right? And let's say you're going through the process of looking at credit. People want to know. So what is the most challenging credit report that you've dealt with? How many trade lines have you cleared up on a credit report? Like, when somebody comes to you, did you look at a credit report and you're just like, this is a 6-month process, easy, like minimum, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's some reports that are, even for credit repairs, are too messed up. You can't fit.
So you turn them away.
There are people that, I mean, you 70 grand in credit card debt, either you're willing to pay some of it, or some people that aren't willing to pay any of it, or that aren't in the position to pay any of it, I send them over to a bankruptcy attorney. That's really the only way.
That's it, huh? So you're looking at it going, well, look, you got 25 trade lines. I've seen people that have had 50 trade lines.
Oh my God.
50 lines of credit. Student loans, car loans, extending credit cards like crazy, maxed out. Half of them are in collection status. My thing is that when you get to that point where you see somebody like that, right, that high amount,
Correct.
it's almost to a point where it's just too far gone. Basically, is what you're saying.
It's
You're
too
an
far gone.
addict.
It's not something that you're
I
able
can't
to
help
fix.
What's
You
that?
sound like if somebody's an addict. Hey, you're too far gone. You're an addict.
It is an
Let's
addict.
move you on.
Credit addict.
It is,
Spending.
man. You know how people get credit cards all the time in the mail, and it's like, oh, I got another one, sign me up. I got another one, sign. You know what I mean? So it's just like all of a sudden you got 15 credit cards. Every one of them's at like 90% loan to value on the card. Like, yeah, there's a reason why you're where you're at. I hate to say that, but it's true, right?
Yeah, correct. And then regarding your other question, what type of people want to come with us? People that want to get a low interest rate on their car, or want to refinance a car, whether they got the car when they had really bad credit and then they're actually going to end up paying 2 or 3 times what the car is actually worth. We're able to help them, guide them through the steps into fixing whatever they need to be fixed for them to be able to refinance a car loan. People that want credit cards, or people that just need a loan.
Yeah.
We guide them to the process of fixing whatever they need to be fixed for them to be able to obtain whatever loan or have goals. I have a lady. She has a house, she has a car, she has everything she could possibly want. She wants a pool in her backyard. She had a couple collections. I mean, it really just depends. Sometimes you might have everything. Your credit might be nearly perfect, but you have 1 or 2 things that are still hurting it, and you still want a little bit more, or you want one extra thing to be completely satisfied or completely happy. Lady wanted a pool to have her dream come true. So
Yeah, I guess what I'm going back to is that you do need people like you, right? I think that sometimes, though, these credit companies, they are fixing stuff that don't need to be fixed or has no impact on the credit. Like, there is a purpose for having a credit repair. I'm just saying, in some cases, to me, I've seen it both ways. I've seen it where you did work miracles, these companies. I've seen it where they've taken money, right? Never talked to the client again. And they just, all of a sudden you see them, gone, and there's nothing. So there's different layers, I think, to working with a credit company like yours. Not saying that your company's like that, but just credit people in general, because you got to be trustworthy. I think credit's one of the most highly looked at things, right? And it's one of the most sensitive things you can have as anybody out there. And to have somebody look at it and say you're going to help, it's almost like you're entrusting somebody. And when they lose that trust, now you feel just like, man, I don't know what, I have no shot. But you get a lot of people like that. They come in and they're stressed out, right?
I do get a lot of people saying, you know what, I've been with this credit company, I paid them this much, I've never heard of them again. I've heard more stories of people that come to us and be like, hey, I actually don't trust you. Tell me why I should actually give you a shot when the past 2 companies haven't really done anything for me. So I've heard there's more stories.
Well, let's throw a name out there, Lexington Law. You guys heard of it? Okay. I'm not saying they're bad, but basically what they do is they put people on a monthly subscription, and there's a very slow process of getting things done. Is that the quickest way to get things done? No. Because the reality is sometimes you can go right to the point. I can tell you right now, if I did a simulator or I went to somewhere to look at this credit report, I can tell you where the bleeding's at, how to get it fixed, right? Or what you need to do. And sometimes there is no quick fix. It's either delete it right?
Do you do credit repair?
I don't do credit repair. So I'm just saying I've been doing this a long time. I've seen a lot. But there's no quick fix. It's not like you can just, hey, I'm going to just throw this stuff away and everything's good. And then, you know what I mean? Now I can just get this stuff removed. You have to literally go through a process. And sometimes, I hate to say this, but a lot of these credit companies will tell you what they want you to hear so they can get paid. And I'm not saying that that's you. I'm just saying that's what they do. So it's hard to get and to trust people, I guess, to give credit or to help with credit because of that reason, right?
Correct. And I'm going to be honest with you, almost all those credit repair companies do tell you what you want to hear.
They tell you what you want to hear.
And then as you start going through the process, you see what the reality is. And like you said, there's things that you cannot do. You just have to wait them out. Late payment, there's nothing you could do.
Nothing.
Unless you have proof to actually make it go away and to get it deleted. Sometimes late payments, one of the hardest things to get rid of. And the only solution for that is time.
Correct.
Nothing will
How many,
fix.
if you got a great, having good credit or really high credit score and having one credit that hits your credit, it really hurts your credit score versus somebody that's got 4 or 5 things on their credit that maybe they've had lates in the past, or let's say they're behind or they had a collection. Somebody that's got good credit, how many points does that drop you? Because I know when we were doing like back in the day when you had like short sales, stuff like that, it would drop you like 100 points.
Still does. 100, 120 points, 150 points. I've seen it drop people from 700 to 400. Just one
my
thing
goodness.
will drop you that. I mean, it'll hit you
I have a
hard.
question, but for you, Dan.
Yeah.
So do you still see a lot of people where they come in and they need like for example, let's say I'm trying to buy a house, but I don't qualify, so I have to bring in, I'll just say my dad.
Okay.
Like co-signing. Do you still see that a lot or no? Is that
Yeah.
still popular?
I
or-
think everybody
I'm just asking. I don't know.
homes right now are the highest they've been.
so you have, like,
they
5
might even be
people
higher. I
list?
believe they're higher than 2000, mid 2000s. People need
A cosigner.
support. They need cosigners. I've seen 3 people get on a loan before.
Oh my goodness.
3
Okay,
people.
I was just curious. I didn't know if that was like something that was still popular. Like,
Well, I don't know if it's popular. I just think it's like the last resort. Everybody's like, well, okay, this didn't work. I want to buy this house. I can't do it on my own. So mom, dad, grandma, can you jump on this loan? Because at the end of the day, I can't do it myself. And that's just to get the foot in the door, right? We all know that there's going to be something where maybe you reposition yourself down the road. But yeah, this is a frequent thing happening where you have multiple people doing loans right now.
Well, you got to watch out when co-signing loans. You never know what's going to happen.
you're responsible.
I had a client who was getting ready to move, and when they pulled her credit, they said, "Oh, you've got this big mark on auto loan that wasn't paid." She said, "Auto loan? I haven't." Oh, wait. I co-signed a loan with my niece. Well, she calls up the niece, and the niece forgot to change the oil, and things stopped working, and who knows what happened, right? And so she parked it in the backyard and stopped making payments. Well, now it's on my client to make the loan current again before she could go buy that house. And I tell you, that makes Thanksgiving dinner a lot more complicated when somebody owes you that kind of money.
Oh, yeah.
You're really putting your life in someone else's hands when you
And
co-sign for them.
yeah, I mean, you just got to watch out for that.
Yeah, I think when you do business with family, it's never a good thing because you're always, if it goes good, it's good, right? If it goes sideways, you don't ever talk to them again. So that's just how it works.
That's right. And
It's
there's
true.
sometimes where
I've seen
you
it- I've seen
got to
it
meet
both,
them.
too.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
I've seen it in both. Family when it's good and bad when it's bad. I mean,
Well, look,
I've seen people get threatened and I'm
yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, you got families.
I have.
Yeah, you got families that, let's say you go to probate, or let's say you got a will and somebody's delegated, let's say you had properties and they're delegated to take those properties, collect rents or whatever they're doing. And you got sisters and brothers. And they were like, hey, I don't agree with how you're running the show here. I want a piece of running it. But yet it was delegated to that person running it. Now everybody's got pressure. You see that all the time, right?
that just sounds like
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, being the executor is never any fun because no matter what decision you make, it's the wrong one for somebody.
it's like
Right.
the president. He's the rep for the country.
Yeah.
He does
Yeah, the
wrong,
president,
he's in
yeah.
trouble. Hey, you didn't do this.
So let's go back. Okay, so we're talking with you guys that are just tuning in. We're talking with Tony Gutierrez. Sorry, and what's the name of your company again, Tony?
Community Credit Repair.
It's right there on your shirt. I just
Well,
wanted
it
to
is
test you.
It's in Spanish, but
We like
Community Credit Repair.
Community credit repair.
Correct.
All right, and so how long you been doing credit repair?
So I've been doing it for about 4 years already.
Okay, what do you like about it, man? Isn't it pretty challenging? You got a lot of people that are just coming in and pissed off and stressed out.
Helping people, getting people to where they want to be. I actually like helping people. That's the part that I like the most. So there's people that are helping people get into homes, help people get into cars. It's really what I enjoy the most about it.
Well, I think it's a rewarding business. I just think you deal with a lot of problems, A lot of people's issues that they created themselves, and you got to be the one that's cleaning up the mess, right?
We do. It happens where I have a couple angry clients where they're like, "Hey, this is still on my credit. This is it." Well, I tell them, "You made the bed. Lay in it. I didn't tell you, hey, do this, do that." They come to me once. They've already done it, and some people do expect results within 45 days. They start calling me up. Hey, it's been 30 days. Haven't seen any change.
Do they cancel right after that? It's just like, hey, man, abort.
Actually, no. We're actually able to ground them. You have to be able to have that level of ability to ground people. Tell them, hey, it does take a process. You messed this up in the past 5-7 years. Let's work together to get you to where you need to be, to get you to the goal that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, it's. I'll tell you, man, I couldn't do it. It's a lot of resolve. You got to juggling characters and people's personality, and they're already coming in, and like I said, they're upset. like life has done them wrong usually for the most part. By the time they get to him, it's like life is just not friendly. So why am I going to be friendly? And you probably deal with that a lot.
Yeah. So Tony, do you run into people that when they come in, you just think, wow, this is never going to work. These people aren't dedicated. They don't want to do this really, or
I do. And the weirdest people, the one that I sit down with every single person, and I tell them the process, and the people that you actually think aren't going to sign up and aren't going to get started, they're like, all right, let's get going. So I do run into those type of people that you think, you know what, you're never going to work. I'm just going to tell you, that way you get out the door. They're like, oh, well, actually, I want to try. And most of the time, I have very little problems. I have very little customers calling angry once we're 3-4 months down the process, only because they do start seeing that change. Some people might not see the change, but only because they have no revolving credit. But as soon as we get revolving credit, they actually see the change. First is clearing up all the negative remarks that are on the credit.
But some of them you don't need to clear up. Do you kind of got, because look, if I walked in and I knew what I know, and I'm not saying I know more than you because I don't, but I'm just saying, let's say I know I know enough to be dangerous, as they say, right?
Stand back. He's a podcaster.
Yeah, I'm a podcaster, right? I come into you and I'm like, hey man, I know that that's not going to work. Do you ever have people challenge you on stuff that they're saying, you know what? I don't think that's right. I don't think you need to do that. Because look, I know you know what you're doing. I'm just saying there's probably a lot of people that they're frustrated. They're in that position for a reason. So I'm sure they're challenging you at some point, right?
Well, this is usually where we're at. I'm very simple. You don't get the results you want, I'll give you your money back. That's really where it is. You're willing to challenge me.
Whoa, there you go.
I'm willing to challenge you. Let's go my way. If my way doesn't work, I'll give you your money back.
Yeah, it's my way or the highway. That's your slogan. My way or the highway, right?
Correct. And there's been times that I'm going to have to tell you, I've given people their money back. But 90% of them, I'm not able to say 95% of the time, my way works. That's how.
Yeah, look. There's a place for everybody. Everybody doesn't need a loan. Everybody doesn't need a realtor. Everybody doesn't need a finance. Well, maybe everybody needs a financial planner. In Mike's world over here, everybody needs a financial planner. But everybody doesn't need that support. But in the event, look, it's nuggets, it's value. You go and you find somebody. I'm just trying to give the facts though, because I've always been curious. I've never had to go and call and say, hey man, I need to get this done. Knock on wood, I never have that happen. Right. But people that go through that process, I think a lot of people come back to me and say, man, and I'll tell you the truth, Lexington Law, and there was another company, I forgot the name. They're like, nothing's changed. And it's been 8 months, and I've already given them $800, and they just take $100. So I think there is some value to that, but I guess there's a place where how much can I do on my own versus hiring somebody. Maybe you got the money to do it or whatever.
I think it's also kind of intimidating. You get these creditors calling you, And that's kind of intimidating. They want to get paid first. They don't care about everybody else. And I don't know, maybe Tony can help you figure out the right ones to pay off first, and
Right.
what, things that can make that kind of difference. I don't think the average person understands this stuff.
No, they
very much.
don't. They don't, and that's why we have Tony. Tony's on here because the average person doesn't understand any of this stuff. One of the things I have is people always say, "Well, how long can somebody come after me for getting a collection account?" Like I've seen people where they've called them 10 years later, and they're still trying to get a collection account. It doesn't even show up on their credit. So, what is that time period for them?
So it really just depends. Statute of limitation, if they got served, people are able to come after you 20, 30 years later. I had a client got served back in 2000.
Wow.
Last year, 2019.
Holy cow.
They're still serving him. They're still trying to collect. They went into his Bank of America account and took money from there
Oh, wow.
20 years later.
Okay.
So if they get judgment, they're actually able to collect. They're able to
Wow.
collect until they get their money.
It's got to be pretty significant, though. They're not going to come after you for $1,000, right? It's got to be like you just, you took advantage of 25, 30,000, or you just, didn't pay a car, something like that, right?
Well, I am able to tell you something. As time goes by, interest goes by. So the more time that goes by, obviously, if it started a
The
grand,
greater the
you're
debt.
up to 15 grand now. They're gonna try to collect 15 grand then. So as time goes by, some of the accounts they might not try to collect them, but as time goes by, they'll be like, "Well, this seems promising. We should actually go after
What if
this
you change
account."
your name, like you get married or something? I don't even know who that is.
You changed your
Well-
name, you said?
Yeah, you change your name, like you're married, and you're like, I don't even know who this is.
Social security number. Everything's linked through your social, your date of birth.
Yeah, but
so-
does everybody have one? I'm just playing.
Okay, so
Witness relocation program. What if I go into that? How about that?
Well, then
Change your name to
relocation.
McLovin. Move to Hawaii.
I think that's been done, but I don't know.
Something I do have to tell you, all credit repair companies are different. They all do different things. I do believe I am the only credit repair company in Las Vegas that has a debt negotiation license. So that is a very important thing. When you have a debt negotiation license, you're actually able to get you're able to
Didn't
do
know there
more
was
stuff.
such a thing.
Yeah, neither did
have
I.
a question. Do you have and I don't know if this is appropriate, but do you have a direct contact to like the bureaus, like where you could call somebody and be like, "Hey, Sarah, this is Esmeralda, and I need a favor." Yeah, and I need a favor for Mrs. White.
I actually
Don't lie to us.
No,
No,
I don't. That's something not. I
Who
don't
are you
believe
paying?
it's
Who
legal.
do you know?
Who is your contact?
Where's all this money going to?
I don't believe that's actually legal, but no, we don't have a specific
Why am I saying
person.
it's legal? I just said you have relationships.
Well,
It's different.
With
we all have
collection-
relationships. We can make calls. all the
collection
time.
companies we do, but directly with the credit bureaus, it's departments are out in Asia, they're out in India, so it's a little hard
that could
to
be
actually
difficult.
find
Yeah.
a person to go directly to.
So if somebody, let's say, out of sight, out of mind, everybody's like, well, there's that $7,000 or $10,000, whatever trade line it is, I didn't pay it. Now everybody's like, okay, collections, now there's interest and all these things have happened. Now nobody talks to anybody, right? It's like, okay, I don't even know about that one. Hopefully it's going to fall off my credit. How long does it take before it falls off your credit? And then let's say if somebody does pay it, then will it stay on your credit as a negative derogatory?
So when it comes to credit cards, anything that's in credit cards, if it's about to fall off, it's getting close to the 7 years. So after 7 years, most of the accounts are able to remove. The statute of limitation for accounts are usually between 7 to 11 years. Most accounts fall off after 7 years. So if you're getting close to, say, your 5 year or 6 years and 6 months, but you need to buy a house right now, and the only way you're able to buy a house is getting rid of that $7,000 collection. So we do tell customers that thing. Well, it's about to fall off in 6 months. You could either wait till 6 months, save money, or if we pay it now, it will stay on your credit for the next 7 years after the last payment. So accounts will stay on your credit 7 years, and that's in credit cards. They will stay 7 years after the last payment.
Let's say you paid it off, though. Let's say you have an account that had like a $10,000 balance, just as an example. Let's say you paid that off, but it still shows up as a negative derogatory. Everybody's like, well, I paid these accounts off. Why are they still on my credit? They stay on your credit for a period of time, right? They don't just, oh, I paid it and it falls off and my credit's good now, right?
Correct. Well, FDCPA does allow accounts to stay on your credit for about 7 years after the last payment. So they legally have to report for the next 7 years after the last payment.
So it's not 4 years. I heard it was 4 years. So like, let's say if I had a collection account, I paid it, and let's say it was in full, I paid it in full. That stays on your credit. I thought for a derogatory account showing still on your credit, because you have one section that says good credit,
Correct.
right? Then on the bottom it says all the derogatory, the ones that you paid off, or the ones that are still in collection status or derogatory status. So my thing is, I thought it was a 4-year waiting period where once you paid that, it will fall off your credit after 4 years. Is that right?
Well, collections, we're talking about two different things. Collections is one thing, derogatory accounts are two things.
Perfect.
So collections, we are able to remove those right away. I mean, if you make the right deal and you get that deletion letter, it will fall off your credit for the next, within the next 30 days. Now, a derogatory account, those accounts have to stay on your credit for the following 7 years.
Got you.
So it just really depends. Anything that's in credit cards and it went delinquent, say 150, 180 days, and then you made the decision to actually pay it, that account will stay on the credit for the following 7 years. There's accounts, Chase, JPMCB, they keep the accounts. They do not send them out to collections. They don't outsource them into collection companies.
Sure.
So they actually keep the account. So 5, 6, 7, 6 years down the road, you decide to pay that account. From that day you paid it, it will still stay on your credit for the following 7 years.
Got you.
So there's companies, let's say Synchrony Bank. Synchrony Bank sells the account over to Midland Funding, which is another, it's a collection company.
How many times have you seen collection companies? Because like there's a period where they say, okay, I'm going to pay this off. Collection company takes it over. Now they charge their fee. How many times does that thing get transferred, or is it just dependent on how late they are?
It could get transferred as many times. I mean, a company, Midland Funding runs under 3 or 4 different names.
What's the numbers that you've seen? Like, what's the most you've seen an account get transferred?
About 3 times. Usually
That's
by the
about
third
3
time,
times.
that's it. The third company keeps it, and they will reflect it on your credit for the following 7 years.
Right.
And then from there, you either decide to pay it, or it either falls off on its own.
Yeah, CC wants to call and ask a question. Let me go ahead and put this in here. You guys have any questions while I'm doing this with our guy here from Credit?
Community Credit Repair.
There you go. I'm trying to
Tony!
I'm
Get it
trying
right,
to tee him
Tony,
up, man.
yeah, there you
Come
go.
on, man. I'm going to put this number in. You guys got any questions for him? Mike.
No, do you want me to call in?
No,
Stop yelling at
I
him,
can
man.
call in and
give her the number to call in. She has a question.
I don't know the number.
Oh, I don't know. I guess nobody has the number. I got the number.
Yeah, I mean, she asked you for the number. We'd hope you'd have it.
All right. So let me ask this question.
867-5309.
No. Let's take this. So we're gonna do this one. Let me see if I can get this number out to Cece over here and see if I got this number here set up. She has a question. So give me a second on this.
Stand by. Technical stuff happening.
There we go. Let's see if that works, and we'll see if we can.
Don't everybody call it at once, please.
Let's
It's
see.
only
Let's
for
see if we can get
CC.
her in here. I want to try to see if she's got a question. Yeah, the Bluetooth's on, so let's see what she does.
Holy cow.
CC, let's see if you can call us in here. Got a live caller, people. Live caller.
I've
Got a live one. Oh, hooked one.
You are caller number 10. Congratulations.
A new
got a
car.
good radio voice.
Right.
I've been told that quite a few times.
So let's talk a little bit. Well, see if Cece will call in. So basically, oh, she's calling in. Let's see if we can push her through here. All right, Cece, you there?
I am here.
Let me
Holy
see.
cow.
Hold on. Let's see if we can get you on here. Hold on. I'm pulling you in here.
Okay.
Let me see here. Trying to see if we can get this connected. Hold on. Everybody stand by. Trying to see.
Technical difficulties.
Hold on. We're going to get this set up right now. We didn't have it set up, but we're going to get it up. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Holy
All
cow.
look at that.
Hey
That's
now.
magic. Wow, that's cool.
So what's going on, Cece?
Yeah.
You had some question, huh?
I do. Okay, so this is my question. When my mom passed away in 2018,
Okay.
I was her payee for her Social Security.
Okay.
And it took the bank a while to send her last check back to Social Security. which hit my credit report.
Okay.
Once they finally got the money back to Social Security, I called the credit company and told them that Social Security had received their money back.
So which company? Which
I'm
company
sorry.
had the mark on your credit report? Was it your bank or?
No, it was through Social Security.
Oh, Social Security actually was on there, huh? Wow. Okay.
Right. And so instead of the credit bureau that they went through, the collection agency that they went through, when I called them to let them know that, hey, the bank released the money back to Social Security, can you please wipe this off my credit report? Instead of them doing that, they just closed it.
Huh. Have you seen this
which
happen?
made it, yeah.
There has to be a collection company. So there has to be a collection company. I've actually never seen it or anything with Social Security reflect on somebody's credit. So if there is a collection company reflecting on your credit, then we might be able to help you. But I've never really seen a Social Security account hit somebody's credit.
Well, you're saying...
Well, it kind of just said it was for Social Security, but it went through a collection agency, which I contacted the collection agency itself and let them know that, hey, Social Security got their money back directly from the bank. Can you please take this off of my credit report?
So when you said they closed the account, what's the name of the account that's actually showing up on your credit?
It's showing now that it's a derogatory statement now on it. And this is, I'm going under like my Capital One credit card.
Does it show
through there at my credit report?
Does it show the name of the trade line though? It usually, so what is the name of the trade line that's showing up?
I can let you know.
That's kind of crazy, huh? You've never heard of this before?
Never seen Social Security reflect on somebody's credit, to be honest.
Would it be? Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I mean, I know they're very quick to pull that money back when a person dies.
Yeah.
So if you die today, they want all of June's money back.
Yeah.
And so
they just want to stop it right away. And then,
they want all of June's money back, even though they were alive most of June. They want all of June's money back. That can be kind of brutal at times.
Yeah, well, what it was, she passed away like the middle of the month, and they tried to send her check at the end of the month because she always got her checks at the end. And for the next month, but they gave us the runarounds for a while on trying to get that back.
The government gave you the runaround, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
The bank did, and so it was crazy though. So it just says Social Security Administration Office, and then they gave a phone number to call. It's like a 718 area code number. I called that number itself and told them, I said, hey, the bank finally released the money back to Social Security. They got all of their money and everything. And I said, can you please take this off my credit report? So all they did was just, like I said, just close the account and just left it at a derogatory account.
That's weird though that they transferred that debt to you even though that was your mom. Is that right?
Right, because I was her payee.
Oh wow! So you were the payee. So basically, they came after you. That you're the one, obviously, that was the payee. So have you seen that before?
I have not, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, it's not something that Social Security is not something. Social Security in Texas, it's not something that usually shows up on your credit report.
So this showed up on your credit, CC, saying that you owed this money. Was it a collection or was it just, hey, there's a balance? Did it affect your credit score?
Yeah, it had affected my credit score for a while until, like I said, until they closed it. Then once they closed it, then I noticed my credit score started going back up.
So it kind of showed like a late payment, like if she was late on something.
That's what it sounds like. I mean, it's just derogatory.
Yeah.
But the debt was paid in full, so.
Because I kept going back and forth with Social Security and the bank to send the money back to them. They wanted to first send me the money, then me send the money to Social Security, and I'm like, why? Just
Wow.
do them.
You get a different answer each time you call, right?
Right.
That's crazy. So did you have to actually get it deleted or anything, or did it stayed on your credit and then it?
No, on my credit as a derogatory account.
Wow.
I'd actually like to see it. If you could stop by our office, we'd be able to take a look at it and figure out if there's something that we might be able to help you get it removed.
CC, you're not in Vegas though, huh? You're outside of Vegas?
Yeah, I'm in Sacramento, California.
Okay, so we are able to do all the process over the phone. Our company does help people out of state as well. So we'd be able to schedule an appointment, set a meeting, and then we'd be able to have an over the phone consultation and help you or try to resolve this problem.
And he's also said 100% money back guarantee.
That is
so
correct.
if it doesn't work out, CC, you're getting your money back.
That's
Dan will pay it back.
That's right.
Go, Dan. You're the man.
I got your back, CC. Like you've always got our back. I appreciate you always checking in on the show.
She's always here.
Always here, man. She's a trooper. I love it.
Number one fan.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, I think it'd be a good opportunity. I don't know how you would want to get that information to him, but I'll put his information in the comment section.
Post it in the. Post your social security number and your date of birth in the chat box.
No, I appreciate that question. though. That's
a good one.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting that somebody went through that because I've never heard of it either. So that's definitely new to me.
It's
news. It's new to you too, I'm sure. So.
Right.
It's come almost a good year, seemed like, to finally release it back to them.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
So you're on these shows all the time, CC. What do you think about the housing market out here in Vegas? I know you're not in Vegas. What do you think about it? I mean, I'm just trying to get the mindset of somebody outside of this
where you're at.
The state. Yeah, exactly. Like, what do you think's happening right now?
There, because I mean, it is so much cheaper than California.
Oh yeah,
it's crazy, right?
Your taxes are just going nuts.
Yeah, I look at the comps and here and there, and I tell you, for like a 4-bedroom house there, you can get one there for $200,000 to $300,000.
Yeah,
that's a 2 to 3 bedroom house here.
Yeah, and you always you wonder why everybody's coming here, and it's like, well, why is this market continuing to thrive? It's because I even think that when everybody gets back to everything gets back to normal, this market's not going to suffer because you're going to consistently have people moving here from other states looking for a cheaper cost to not just live but to also purchase homes. They want a cheaper living expense overall. I mean, they really do. And so
lower taxes,
everything. Yeah. I mean, there's all pluses coming from
property
somewhere like
taxes.
California. I hate to say that, but it really is. I mean, yes, California's nice.
Except the heat.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That is true. But so like you look at, are you?
It's brutal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, would you look at this direction to move here?
I have really been wanting to for a while.
Okay.
The only problem is right now is just my job because I work for the school district here.
Sure.
And with the COVID situation and all pandemic and all that going on, I got to work from home.
Yeah.
Which was a blessing while recovering myself. Next month will be a year for me of having COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. So my kid goes to school with masks and things still. Does that still happen with your guys' school?
Yeah, for right now we just got finished the 17th of this month was our last work day.
Sure.
So right now they're saying next school year though, this coming August and September, we're going back in fully. But they will be required masks still.
Okay. I think
for right now.
Yeah,
until it changes.
I think if you're deciding or thinking about moving out here, the biggest hurdle that people go through, and Zach knows about this, and is the transition, right? How do you transition from state to state? Can you actually buy a home with your current job, or do you have to get a new job here? I mean, obviously people can buy as a second home, but then you're talking about putting 10% down. You got to have extra money, which is called reserves. There's a lot of other factors. So what a lot of people are doing is they're just working from home, and they're staying working from home, and then they're getting a human resources letter if you're a W-2 employee, and you're saying that you can work in any state. Yours is a little different because obviously you got to be in a classroom, I'm assuming, and you got to be in front of kids, or I don't know what grade do you teach?
Well, I do clerical.
Clerical.
This tech, yeah.
Okay, but you would still need that transfer letter basically to transfer to a new job, right?
Right.
And so I think that's the big challenge for everybody, coming from state to state. I think there's a huge.
And still working with the school districts too. A lot of people still trying to hold on to their jobs. So that's a big thing. Just like you said, having the extra income, from coming from California.
Oh yeah.
That's a big thing. So it is a whole lot. I mean, my whole family has been really thinking about moving there because that was so much better. But then we got friends there that are realtors too, and speaking with them as well. They're looking at how, like you guys were saying on one of the other podcasts, how a lot of people are coming in with cash offers that are outbidding a lot of people that are coming in with payment.
Yeah, it's a tough market. I mean, Zach knows this too. Zach's seen it firsthand where you have a lot of these people that are buying cash. A lot of times buyers just want to go through that and get out of the house because they can, and the deals are typically around the same. Sometimes it's better to get a loan because you can, but again, it's going to come down to the appraisal, right? If you're going above that, are people willing to waive that appraisal contingency? So now you're sitting in a position where you're like, well, if I'm a seller of this home, I can get that quick dollar now and get out of town, right? Get out of Dodge, or I can just say, you know what, I'm going to go through the grind and hopefully the appraisal comes in and hopefully all these things come through. So it really depends on the seller's position, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's again, case by case scenario. Like you're going to find people that again do have cash, or they're going conventional and they have, all this cash just sitting. Cause I mean, conventional 10% when you're at $500,000 is $50,000, and then closing costs, you're getting up there.
Right.
And they got people with a big chunk of cash, they're just sitting on it and they can afford to pay that. But, you got other people that don't, not everybody has all that money in their bank account, but that's not to say that that's, not the situation nowadays. Like I had a VA buyer, and we beat out a few other offers, and they didn't come out out of pocket over appraised value, and there's still situations like that nowadays where you're able to get in with even an FHA loan. I mean, it's still a good loan. People talk down on FHA loans, but you know what? At the end of the day, the seller's still getting their money. So like we were saying earlier in this episode, if it's starting to soften up a bit, we should be able to see more success in people that don't have $40,000-$50,000 just sitting around to pay over appraised value.
Yeah, so that's what's happening even here in California. My sister and my son are both looking at buying right now, even here in California, and they're both getting outbid on houses here. My son, he went over, I think 50,000 more of the cost, and still got bid.
That's brutal.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you hear stories, and it's going on all over the country. I mean, I've seen these crazy posts. Like, I'm a part of this realtor group on Facebook, and just people all over the country, and they'll post like these crazy like offers that they write, like close to $100,000 over asking, and then paying the seller's closing costs and doing all that stuff, and then the description's always, and we still didn't get the offer. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. It's crazy.
It is crazy. And, like I said, starting back at the point of where we were at with people moving here, if you don't have money saved, where do people get their money? Selling their house that they currently own. And that's where that money comes from. So let's be honest. A lot of people, yes, they may have a successful business or there's things that they're doing to create that wealth, But there's a lot of people that are just rolling that money over from a house they're selling in California because they made such a large amount of money off those homes. There's so much equity. And, you know, looking at all this equity, that's why people won't, you know, we talk about the moratorium and all this stuff. That's why I think it's not going to be a huge foreclosure situation here where I'm sure just like in California, there's a problem, right, with properties on the market, right, Cece? I mean, there's not a lot of homes out there, correct?
There's not a lot, and then you have a lot of homeowners or people living in homes that don't want to move out of them.
Yeah.
So that's been another problem been facing. There's realtors are showing them houses that people are still living in. They're fighting with them on trying to get them to move out because, you know, the eviction stuff is on hold still. So they can't really evict them. So that has been a big issue.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
In limbo with the house right now due to trying to get in to get the inspections done.
Right.
Because the homeowners got COVID or something, you know, so it's really been hard.
Right. Well, I can say this, you know, all these challenges, just come to Las Vegas. We're all here.
Yeah.
We're going to help you. Just from start to finish, we got a credit services, a lender, realtor.
We got everybody you need here.
I mean, listen, start at the top and go right down the line. You will help you out in some way, right?
It's magic.
It's magic. We appreciate. Listen, we're going to end this call, but I want to say one thing. First off, thank you again for calling in, and thank you for being somebody that's always a part of the show. You always have great comments, and you're always, you know, a part of it. And I just want to say thank you, regardless of whatever the outcome is. Thank you so much for calling in and just constantly being a part of the show.
You're more than welcome. You guys all have a great day.
Thank you so much. Call us in again, okay? Well, I'm definitely taking any more calls. So, guys, she's right on the money, right? She's got a lot of good information. She knows what's going on with California and obviously transitioning here. We're going to end the show, but we're going to talk with Mike first because I want to bring this up. Yes, Mike's going to be the star here.
Holy cow.
Mike, so look, you're a financial planner, and people want to know saving money, tactics. Kind of give us the rundown of why somebody would save money. What are some of the things you can do to save for college tuition or to help in that area?
Yeah. I've got a kid in college right now, so I'm dealing with this, live.
Yeah, you were talking to me about it.
Yeah.
Man. You were telling me about it.
And he's a student up at UNR. But when my son was born, I got a 529 college savings plan, and I started putting money away. And the cool thing was his grandparents put money in, for birthdays and things like that. And so we've been able to pay for most of his college that way. It's just a fantastic way. And the neat thing is, me as the owner of the account, I get to own it, and I get to decide when that money gets paid out. So if my son decided, well, I don't want to go to college anymore, give me all my money, it's like, nope. Right. I'm going to go buy a new Camaro. That's the neat thing with today's college savings plans is the parent always can be the owner of that account and control it.
Yeah, I think that's a big part for everybody. I mean, it's like, you get this money put aside, but then you can't. What is the age that they can typically look at or touch that? Because you can't touch that for a certain period, right?
Well, actually, it can now be used for K through 12 education too.
Wow.
Yeah, so when the kid's born, you can start popping money in there, and that's kind of a cool thing. But generally, it's used for college, and but it can be tapped at any time. So there's really no age requirement, and it can sit there for a long time too.
How does somebody get set up on that though? Like if let's say I wanted to get started, I had my first kid, and I want to get all that set up. So what do they go through the process with that?
Well, I mean, you can either get them through an awesome financial advisor like me,
right?
But you can do them online. You go to the State of Nevada website, and they can take you to the 529 plan. There are. Each state has their own, and you don't necessarily have to use your own states. I happen to like Alaska's. It's with John Hancock. It's Alaska's is American Funds.
Uh-huh.
And so it's you can kind of pick. My sister living in Massachusetts, they have a tax benefit. So it is a deduction off of their state income taxes when she contributes. Hey, we don't have state income taxes.
There you go.
Hallelujah.
Right?
So we don't have to worry about that here in Nevada. So you can pick whatever state you want.
Well, I think I think everybody needs a financial planner. Mike's the guy to go to it. I think, Mike,
you're right.
You are the guy to go to it. And you got a lot of good information, man. I think there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you could probably teach people or instruct people on what to do. Guys, we're going to end the show. We went a little long. Thank you so much. Sorry about the echo. We're trying to fix that. We'll do that on the next show. And everybody out there, thank you for tuning in. And you guys have any last thoughts? Anybody?
Go wash your car.
Mike?
Bueller.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys at the next show. Thank you so much for tuning in with us, and we'll see you then.
Thank you for watching an episode of the French Workbench podcast. If you want to tune into past episodes, please subscribe to my channel now. Also, if you want to look at our audio-only options, we do have iTunes and SoundCloud.